Why is this more about competence than values? Because if we go down to that level again, what we can agree on from a scientific point of view, we are in a funnel where the resource potential to sustain us is systematically declining, no matter how we vote in parliament and so forth. So there is less and less room for maneuver left to live prosperous lives and to have pleasures in the future. That's a fact, and I will soon return to that. If you are now leading an organization, say selling bicycles, or a bank, or you are a mayor of Toronto, I don't know, it doesn't matter, but you are in charge, and you don't understand the nature of the threats that the whole system is put under. You don't understand that. How can you then become a good leader? If you are leading a big, complex organization in a big system which is under systematic decline, and you don't understand the features of that, how can you then lead your own complex organization? And the funny thing is today that most decision makers in the world don't have a clue how to define what sustainability entails, what it is, how to define it. They don't know what it is. How can you then be strategic if you don't know what it is you're aspiring to? The general solution to that dilemma, because they feel it, people are sensitized today, they turn to experts like myself. And if you like nuclear power, because you've always said that, in the sauna and having a whiskey with your friends, you love nuclear power, then you can always find yourself a scientist who says that nuclear power is better than fossil fuels, and then you rely on that guy. And vice versa, if you like biofuels, and you've always loved biofuels, and you've said so to all your pals, you can always find yourself an expert who verifies also that standpoint. Which means that scientists are taken hostages in inherently ideological claims. And this is a battle we cannot win. Furthermore, experts are amateurs on leading complex organizations in the complex world. That's what decision makers are doing. They are the experts on being strategists. So they must know how to define sustainability themselves, and thereby asking the right questions to experts, not trying to take experts hostages in ideologically shaped processes, which is extremely dangerous. And it all comes down to three very simple questions, in line with what the city manager said. Make it simple, and these are the three. If you only ask the first question to an executive today, you get a long, long story. Sustainability has come to stay. It makes perfect ethical sense. Why wasting resources? That's not good for nature, nor is it good for money, and so forth. It's just a long story. It's not a definition. So if you then, after that long story about the policies that have evolved accordingly, ask the second question. So, relying on your own definition, what remains to be done in your organization? They don't know how to respond, since they don't have a definition. And furthermore, they don't do enough with regard to the third question. I have two nice stories about systems thinking. One is good and one is bad. The good one is that you as individuals were born systems thinkers. You are extremely smart, each one of you, when it comes to playing chess, once you've done it for a few times. If you've done it enough, computers find it extremely difficult to beat you. Or running cars in the complex traffic system, or learning your first language, which is an incredible achievement each one in this room has done, because you didn't even have a language to begin with. So you have decodified your first language by just being around and hearing sounds and doing the right connections. The sad part of the story is that groups larger than 5, in spite of the ingenuity of each individual, generally are dumber than the dumbest participant of the whole group. Well, not here in Dublin, but we have this problem in Stockholm. The larger the assembly, the more stupid it gets when it comes to dealing with complex issues, complex matters. Now, that is very sad in Sweden and Stockholm, because many people inherently knows more together than each individual. So we always, without exception, have a greater collective knowledge in a big group than in a small group, or only one by one. The problem is that we can't make use of that collective knowledge because we don't have shared mental models of what it's all about. It's like having a bunch of people playing with a ball, but they have different ideas what football is all about. Or sitting and moving pieces randomly, but because they don't know the rules of chess. And that's not fun. So we must have a structure, the trunk and the branches, for us to be able to do division of labor amongst the leaves and all the details of relationships. If I ask an individual, say a competitive business person, an executive in the United States, having been brought up under the most aggressive, competitive business climate anywhere, one with an attitude of business is war and sustainability is for sissies. They don't exist in Ireland, but they have them in the United States. If you ask this same person, sir, it's generally sir, what do you think about forests? Do you think that we at last have stopped losing them on the global scale, or do you think that we still may lose some? He generally knows the answer. If you ask him about agriculture, cropland, topsoil layers, nutrients, biodiversity of cropland, he knows that too, but by just being around, watching the news every now and then, listening, putting things together, he knows that as well. Groundwater tables, fisheries, do you think at last that coral reefs have stopped declining, or do you think that fisheries may decline a bit? I mean, on an average, globally. They generally know the answer. They know the answers. They know the answers. We are in a funnel where the resource potential of the whole system to sustain us is systematically on the decline. And I think the most spooky parts of the funnel are the gradual loss of stories of meaning that create the glue between people, the cultural glue, those stories that connect us, that makes it important to be Irish. One of the things that had been moving me so much about Ireland long before I was here, which is the first time today, was the stories from my wife, who told me about all those stories of connectedness and that it meant something to be Irish. And that responded very well to me, because when I've been out traveling, I've met so many Irish people, and they are generally extremely proud of being Irish. It's important to be Irish. Actually, those stories are on the decline, and it's more and more one person to him or herself and the family. So we are more and more alienated from other people, and the social connectedness is eroding at the time when we need it more than ever. So we need stories of meaning, such as saving the world together. So there will never be a stronger determinator for future success in local governments and businesses than sustainable development. And indeed, since decades, it has already been the strongest long-term trend of all, but not going up straight like that, going like this, of course. But the long-term trend has been stronger than any other long-term trend. Why? Because of the funnel. Survival issues are very influential and very convincing in the end. And we all see what's happening now. More people than I am talking about the financial crisis we are right now looking at. How much of that is really a financial crisis, and how much of it is due to that we have actually evaluated the wrong stuff in the situation we're in. And if you ask people deep down in their hearts, they know the truth. They know the answer to that.